Welcome to Beneath the Suit. Beneath the Suit aims to provide a deeper and more personal perspective on individuals in prominent positions. While we often know people by their roles or titles, such as presidents or directors, we want to shed light on their personal lives, values, and experiences. We want to provide a more comprehensive understanding of who they are beyond their professional personas. And today we have here Pastor Debleaire K. Snell. I tried to find information about you in Google. There's a lot, and I don't know if everything is true. Okay. So let me read a 5 lines short bio. So
I did it on Google?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's how we do it now.
That is how you do it.
So it says that you are a pastor.
Yeah,
so far,
correct.
Author, an influential figure in the Seventh-day Adventist community, with a bachelor degree of arts in theology from Oakwood University.
Yep.
So you've been here.
Oakwood College then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that says something about your age. I didn't want to touch that.
A little bit.
And a Master of Divinity from Andrews Theological Seminary.
Yeah.
And you have dedicated your life to ministry.
Yeah.
And you are known for your engaging sermons, impactful writings, and now because you hold 2 positions. You are author of several books like Almost Home and Get Unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And you are, it says here, happily married.
Yes.
That's okay.
Be 20 years in November. Yep.
Wow. Mm-hmm. To Gianna Norman, that's correct?
Uh-huh.
And you are the proud parent of 3 wonderful children.
Yes.
Jadon, Brooke, and Braden.
Yes, sir.
Currently, you have the position of lead pastor at Oakwood University Church and director of Breath of Life Television Ministries.
Yes, sir.
So everything is true, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an accurate bio that you found.
So the first question that comes to mind when we say you is, what are your responsibilities as being lead pastor and director of Breath of Life?
Yeah, so I mean, as pastor of Oakwood University Church, I'm the chief or the lead teacher for the church. I look to help set the spiritual climate and putting an infrastructure in place to make sure all of the spiritual needs of the body are well taken care of. And with Breath of Life, of course, I am the primary face. We have an amazing team that really allows the content to be packaged and put together well. But I'm the primary teacher and essentially the overseer and visionary for the Breath of Life ministry.
What drives you? I mean, what's the driving force behind all this?
No, I have one burden in life. It is to see lost people come to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. So with the work at the church, with Breath of Life, those 2 things, those 2 missions are parallel. They're not divergent at all. And so everything that we do administratively, logistically, as well as the things that we do in a grassroots way, are designed to kind of put people in a position where they would come to know Jesus for themselves.
One of those positions will be time-consuming enough, but you have 2 of them.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through a regular day of Pastor Snell?
So I'm an early bird. I am a knowingly chipper very early in the morning. So my day usually starts somewhere between 4:30 and 5, just kind of with some personal, devotional time. From there, while it's quiet, before the day really gets into, kind of a frenzy, that's when I dedicate some time to preparation for sermons or teachings, or it's kind of my creative time, still time, so on and so forth. By that time, we're getting ready to grab our kids, get them ready to head out to school. Usually when I drop them off from school, I usually try to do some kind of workout. And sometimes you'll see me walking around campus right here. Sometimes I'm by myself. Sometimes I may be with a friend. Then I'll clean up, and then I go into my office hours for the day. A couple of days a week, I'm at the church. A couple of days of the week, I am here at the Breath of Life office. Usually here roughly from 9 to about 5 or 6 each and every day. Then sometimes in the evenings, there may be visitations and or hospital visits. And then, usually somewhere between 6:30 and 7 on a normal day, heading in. And then just like any other dad, it's just homework, it's playtime, it's picking kids up for practice and rehearsal, so on and so forth. And then of course, we try to do dinner and kind of conclude the day as a family. Yep.
So what aspects of your roles bring you the most happiness these days?
Honestly, so I think on the Breath of Life side, it is just seeing a concept move to reality. Or when me and my team were, wrestling with an idea, trying to figure out a fresh way to approach something, deliver something, share something, And just in the midst of kind of a brainstorming session, man, God makes a vision really, really clear and plain. That is really fun, brings me a lot of joy. And on the church side, really just kind of, like we said, either doing things that are impacting the student body in a radical way, that impact the church body in a radical way, or that really bless our community. So really, it's just those things that impact life in a positive way. Those are the things that bring me the most joy.
And the day that you describe, I don't see any time for hobbies. How you do that?
Well, in this season of life, I don't really have a whole lot of hobbies. Like, I don't draw right now. There are different things that I probably used to do a little bit more. But right now, kind of life revolves around kind of our kids and kind of making sure they get the things they need. So, my son, he likes to play basketball, and so I try to do some of that with him. My daughter's in the dance. I don't do that with her, but I try to support her in her efforts with that, so on and so forth. So that's kind of where we are at this particular season in life.
Have you done something new lately?
It's so funny. Not really. I'm very much a creature of habit and repetition. So like I have a routine I don't deviate too much from, but I went somewhere that I've never gone. This summer we went to Israel, to the Holy Land. That was an epic experience, getting to see where Jesus grew up, where he lived, where he preached, where he taught, where he died, all those things. So I never had gone to that part of the world, but just going to the Holy Land, to Israel, to Jerusalem, over into Jordan, it was a truly, truly rewarding experience. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of celebrities now showing what they have in their purse and things like that. We're not going to do that. We're going to ask you, what's something that you always need in your office?
In my office?
Yes.
Besides the internet?
Yes. And the Bible.
And the Bible. I always need, just when I get a little hungry, a bag of cashews in my office. Always got to have a stash of cashews for those moments where they gets a little long and I need a little boost.
When this is everybody will bring you
cashews.
cashews,
Hey,
right?
the more cashews, the better. The more cashews, the better. Yeah. You can never have too many.
Quick question then. What's your favorite Bible character and why? A quick one,
Yeah, of course, aside from Jesus, I would probably say Joseph. I love Joseph just because, he didn't just have like one trial. It was just trial on top of trial on top of trial. And yet he had to overcome each and every one. And I don't know, that's something that resonates with me because like as soon as I get through one difficulty, there's another one and another one and another one, and an escalating scale of challenges. And I just love the way he was able to maintain his integrity, his hold on God. And then even in the end, he was able to see the purpose in his suffering. And I don't know, for some reason, that's why Joseph resonates with me.
Any book of the Bible or?
Probably either the book of Proverbs, which is full of like just wisdom, just practical things that help you in everyday life, and probably the book of James. The book of James was like the first book of the Bible I was able to really understand as like a younger person, younger Christian, trying to figure out what it was all about. The book of James was very helpful for me.
What do you consider to be the best quality of a church member? Because I know you talked lately about the 5 cents coin. So available will be the answer?
Yeah. Willingness. Just a willing member who says, I understand that my gifts, all that I am, who I am, it's all for the glory of God. And, they're willing to employ their gifts in service for the King. Not necessarily just, all right, they like me or they support me or they believe in what I believe in, but just willingness to serve in whatever way is needed.
So what about the departmental director?
Yeah, so I think from our ministry directors, probably vision, because I think that's really what makes our teams come alive. And then when they bring a certain energy to what they do, like one of the things, I don't really do anything halfway. I try to put energy into everything I do. And when I see our ministry leaders or directors doing it the same way, we vibe in a tremendous fashion.
There's any sermon that you recount that had a profound impact on you personally?
Mm-hmm. Man, there are a bunch of them. There's a sermon called Hakuna Matata by Dr. James Doggett. He preached when I was a sophomore here at Oakwood that really helped me crystallize kind of what my calling was in life. One of my predecessors, Walter Pearson, preaches a sermon called Empty Houses, and where it just really shows the power of God that's available to us. But there are a number of different sermons that have been really impactful over the years. But there are those are a couple that just come to mind. And part of them is that they touch me at critical points in my life or in my ministry.
And about members, what the most surprising thing or stranger that a member has asked you?
Strange thing that a member has asked. I'm trying not to say too much. I've gotten a lot of strange inquiries along the way. Sometimes people may want to know what's in my playlist on my phone. They might like to know, different things about maybe my upbringing or background, or just my preference on things that I just would not expect them to really care about. Maybe it's the best way I can say it.
How long you been working for the church?
Since 1999. I was fortunate shortly before graduation to be hired by South Central Conference. They sent me to seminary for 2.5 years, and then I started pastoring in Columbus, Mississippi in 2002 officially, but I've been connected with the church since 1999. Pastoring officially since 2002.
So 24, you're going to be 25 soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
Very much. Yeah.
What is the most crucial lesson you've learned about church work during your journey?
I think really at the end of the day, I think it's just finding out where God is standing and standing as close to him as you possibly can. Because I just think that there are times where, whatever God is telling you to do, it may not always be in harmony with what people want or what people wish. But I think fruitfulness and success comes not just when people are happy with you, but ultimately when you judiciously and efficiently execute God's purpose that he's laid out before you.
We ask you about the funny things that the members ask you, but what about cherished memories that you have from your pastor times?
Oh man, there's a lot of those. I mean, I don't even know if I have one. I just remember
something that touched you, that someone did that you're like, okay.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I have a hanging garment bag that I got my first church in West Point, Mississippi for my birthday. They got me my hanging garment bag for when I began to travel, and I didn't know that I would live a life of travel, but I still have it, and I got it in like 2003, and it's kind of a cherished memory. I remember before when we had our first son in Lexington, Kentucky, there's a group of ladies that came to support us there in the hospital, and even when when he was born, it's my mother-in-law, and then there were like 4 or 5 ladies from the church who were in the lobby praying the entire time for a safe delivery. So there are just a number of different things. I remember my wife was on bed rest for our second pregnancy, and a group of ladies from the church would come and pray and cook and deliver meals. So I've been very, very blessed for a long time. There are difficulties that come in church life, but we've been beneficiaries of great compassion and kindness from God's people along the way.
Going back to your student days, there's any memory that bring a smile to your face?
Yeah. I mean, I met my wife here at Oakwood. I remember she worked in the Mosley complex, and just whenever I think about meeting her, and it was just random. It wasn't, we just bumped into each other, and we wound up connecting from there to becoming friends. That whenever I think about that brings a joy. And then we were like campus family. People don't really believe that, but yeah, that brings a lot of joy when I think about it.
That's great. When you started the first assignment of your church, there was something intimidating about it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first got out of seminary, I only had like 5 sermons. So I preached all of them the first 5 weeks I was there, and then I didn't have anything else to preach. And so just even having to get into the habit of writing or preparing a new sermon every week felt like a lot, like a huge task. And, I just wasn't really sure I was going to be able to do it on a consistent basis, at least in a quality way.
Now that you say that, there's any advice would you offer to someone aspiring to engage in ministry?
Any advice? One, I would just say, just make sure that you have clarity about the fact that it's God who calls. Really, that's really where it all begins and ends. Don't worry so much about your gifting, your speaking, your administrative, tools or gifts. I think it all begins and ends with clarity and conviction about whether or not it's God who calls. Like, I don't think anybody else can call you. even if others see it in you, at some point you got to have conviction personally. And so I think, don't focus so much on gifts, execution of duties. I think it's about getting conviction about, all right, yes, this is God calling me, and I'm saying yes unconditionally to his call.
Let's change gears here. What's your all-time favorite food?
All-time favorite food? Man, I don't have an all-time favorite food. I do have an all-time favorite restaurant, Cheesecake Factory, 100%, man. I mean, my wife, she literally is tired of going to Cheesecake Factory, but that's my spot. I used to only get to go whenever I went out of town, but now we have one here. And so we are blessed to be able to go even when we're here in Nutsville.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream with butter pecan, a close second.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite person to FaceTime, and what made those conversations special?
Oh, this is my wife. It's not even close. The funny thing is, like, when I'm out of town, I'm all kind of weary and in my pajamas and not putting much thought into it. But she dresses up and she sparkles even on FaceTime. She makes sure that she's together on FaceTime. She probably may not want the world to know this, but she makes it special. Yeah.
When you received your call for your current position, who was the first person you called, and what was the reaction?
Oh, no, I mean, same. It's my wife. And I think we were both gripped with terrorizing fear. It was just very, we just didn't anticipate it. And even when you hear some early conversations, I didn't anticipate it moving in the direction that it did. So I think, my wife and I kind of took it on, and it was overwhelming at first, just sudden, unexpected. But God began to make things clear over time.
What's your favorite sport, and do you find time to enjoy it?
Basketball. Yes, I'm an NBA fan. I probably watch more highlights than I do actual games. I don't really get a chance to sit down and watch games probably until the playoffs. And in the playoffs, I try to kind of sit down and capture those moments, try to get my sons where possible and kind of watch those. Those are things that I did growing up with my dad. And I remember the Jordan years and the Magic years and seeing those moments. They're etched in my mind. So probably in the playoffs is when I get a chance to really sit down and consume it. More than that, just sometimes some of the sports shows, I listen to them in the car as I'm moving back and forth. But yeah, that's basketball. Yeah.
What's your preferred way to unwind after a long day of work?
Favorite way to unwind? Honestly, it's just having moments of still, quiet. It's just when my favorite thing to do is to do nothing. It's like when I don't have to be anywhere assigned to this, to just have some time, some downtime, to be still, or even just little things, sitting in the backyard, watching the kids on their trampoline, just on a nice kind of warm evening where the weather's good. It's kind of the simple things where you don't have, too many obligations kind of tugging at you.
Reflecting on your many, many, many sermons, which one was the most challenging to preach and why?
To preach. So I can't think of one particular sermon that's challenging to preach, but I think there are certain subjects so that when you preach about serving, money, and stewardship, certain things of like relational things, divorce, sex, those things we tend to get really, really on edge and really guarded. And sometimes truth can find a lot of resistance as you're kind of laying out certain things. And then I think that it's not so much preaching prophecy is not hard, but I think I feel a little bit more burdened because I want to get it right and I want to be clear and I want it to be simple enough for everybody to be able to understand. So it's not so much hard, but it's just like there's a lot of thought into the study that goes beyond the studies to say, okay, how do we make this really clear and really plain?
You said there's some difficult topics. Let's go to one of them.
Okay.
What's one thing you wish you knew before getting married?
Probably that the key is not in your partner changing, it's in you accepting them. The blessing doesn't come when they change how you want them to. It's when you just accept them as they are. And that's really when love flows and it multiplies when in acceptance, not in change or transformation.
Now, let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Okay. Yeah,
Between your wife and you, who cooks the most?
Who cooks? She cooks the most. But I am heavy on the cleaning side. So she does more of the cooking. And when I do cook, it's more of a breakfast thing. The simpler things is what I do.
In one word, I know it's going to be hard to define it, but in a sentence, how you will define fatherhood?
Apex. It's the zenith. It's the high point of everything I do. Yeah.
What's the best parenting advice that someone gave to you?
Man, it's funny. The best parenting advice is not do this or do that, but it's probably cherish the time you have with your kids because it goes by really fast. My oldest son is 13 and it feels like he was born just yesterday. And true to form, as it was laid out for me, it goes by, of course my kids are still young, but it's going by really fast.
Did becoming a father influence the way that you do ministry?
Yeah, I just think, it's not so much how I go about ministry, but being a father kind of changes your view of God. You see God's love differently, and you look at it through the way you relate to and interact with your kids. And matter of fact, kind of comes out of my sermons all the time. And it's not necessarily planned, but I'm seeing God differently. And I'm seeing the way he sees us and loves us and cares about us through the experience of being a father.
Have you seen ministry evolve and change over time?
Yeah. I think honestly, every 3 to 4 years, I think that there are really dramatic cycles and shifts in the way we receive information, how we define church, how we consider success, so that even just, from 2020 to 20 now, from the pandemic, to now, church world has radically shifted and changed. So it is a constantly evolving landscape.
That was my next question. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's benefits on the returning of in-person worship?
Yeah, I do. I think that, so for instance, and it's not just in person, like we come to service together. I think that there is a collective power that happens when we gather in his name. And I think that, for those who are attending, I think you sense God's nearness, his presence. I think your distractions that can happen at home are a little less minimized a little bit more minimized when you're in the house of God. But I think things like fellowship, being able to connect with like believers, share life, do life with them. I think the opportunities to serve in church community are a little bit different than, when we were away during the pandemic. So no, I think between fellowship, the opportunities to serve, the ability to re-engage evangelistically, I think those are the benefits of being in church community post-pandemic.
How was Pastor Snell when he was young, kid? Can you describe yourself? And did that influence you?
So I probably, because like right now, I wouldn't say shy was the wrong word, but I was not a leader. I was probably very observant, paid attention to a lot of things, internalized a lot of things. I thought about a lot of things. I probably spent way too much time in my head as a child. And I think all of those things kind of influence and impact kind of who you are as an adult. I don't know how much of it kind of pours over into pastoring. I was probably a little bit mischievous. I wasn't bad, but I was, mischievous and had a curious side as well.
There has been a aha moment during your pastoral years that something clicked? Or everything clicked?
Yeah, I think part of it is just when you get freed specifically from people's opinions. I think that is when those fetters fall off. I think that is kind of a eureka, liberating moment that really empowers you to aggressively seek out God's will and to pursue it wholeheartedly. When you kind of lose or you set aside concern and you stop polling to see where people are, you can move freely in the direction of God.
With all the experience that you've had, there's any time that you had stage fright?
Anytime?
Yes.
Every week? No, honestly, I think it's worse when you're a younger pastor. But I wouldn't say it's stage fright, but I think every week there's stage anxiety. And I think what you do is you just learn how to leverage it into a prayerful dependence on God.
So can you recall the earliest moment in your journey that made you feel successful? And for that, how do you find success?
Well, I wouldn't say there's been a moment where I felt successful, because I feel like that's a little bit too stationary or stagnant. I feel like I am growing. I feel like I am developing. And I think for me, I would just define success as, all right, these moments where there's, overwhelming clarity about me being in God's will. And I think when I know I am in God's will, the growth and the fruitfulness kind of flows out of that. So there have been moments where things have been very fruitful, but I don't look at it so much as success and defeat. I just think each and every experience, it has a role or is an ingredient in the path of fruitfulness going forward.
There's any advice that you will give to your 14-year self?
Your 14-year-old self? Probably I would just say be patient. God makes all things beautiful in time. And there are times where you worry about things, strive for things, want things to happen so badly. And they're already on they're already on God's calendar. They're already on your timeline. So I'll probably just say, just embrace every season until it changes.
Can you share a role model that you had growing up?
Role model growing up? Primarily my dad. That's he was kind of the standard, the mirror. He's the person, in terms of, where I wanted to kind of live out certain things. That would probably be, and of course you have people in larger culture that you look up to, so on and so forth. There've been some pastors that have been impactful along the way, but primarily my dad.
There's any item on your bucket list that you are eager to do? That you can share. If you can say yes, but I prefer not to share until I've done it.
No, so I don't have like a bucket list, like, oh man, I want to do this before I die. There's some places I want to go. Like I want to go to Cape Town one day. A few other places I want to travel. But that's probably, maybe there are probably 3 or 4 places that I would like to travel that I haven't had a chance to travel to yet. There in my mind, there's a certain impact that I would like to make on the kingdom of God. And I don't want to kind of disclose too much, but there's a certain number in my head in terms of people I want to be responsible for helping assist get to heaven. And I'll keep that number in my head.
What's the most dangerous, here I wrote adventurous, no, let's say dangerous, that you've done, the most dangerous thing that you've done?
Yeah, honestly, it's the worst answer. I'm very risk averse. I don't do dangerous things. Now, the only thing I probably would say, man, is when my family and I going onto theme parks, my daughter and I, the boys are going to chicken out, my wife is going to chicken out. We're going to find the biggest, baddest roller coaster in every theme park, and me and her are going to take it down. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I don't go skydiving or bungee jumping. I don't go deep sea diving.
Then your insurance for life will be cheaper.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. If you could have any animal as a pet, what would you choose?
I'm good without pets right now. We have fish. My kids are angling aggressively for a dog, but I know it's going to become my dog. It's going to become my responsibility. So I'm trying to push it off as long as I can. But we have weakening defenses. So I don't know. There may be a dog coming shortly.
You said that your favorite restaurant is Cheesecake Factory. So we'll say that your favorite cuisine is Italian?
No, because Cheesecake Factory has everything. That's what makes it so great. They have Asian, they have American, they have Italian. So yeah, that's why I like it, because whatever I'm feeling that day, you can get it there.
Okay. If you had the chance to speak 1 hour with a historical figure, who will be?
Man.
We know Jesus.
Right. You said not Jesus. Okay.
Not Jesus, yes.
Probably, man. It's so funny. Somebody current. I would love to meet President Barack Obama and pick his brain and talk through his experiences and get his worldview on leadership. That would be very, very cool. I'm sorry.
Do you tend to be a planner or prefer spontaneity?
No. I'm a planner, 110%. Everything is kind of mapped out, scripted, designed. Of course, you have to move and modify things as they go, but I tend to be a planner.
What's the most meaningful compliment you've ever received?
It's just probably people sharing, not, oh, I like that sermon or that idea, but just when things that have been done have pushed them forward spiritually. That's it for me. It really is.
Can you share a quote of a book that resonates with you?
Yeah, there's a Mark Batterson quote where he talks about one of the reasons we struggle, we don't really see big visions, big dreams come to pass, is he talks about how we live out of our memory and not out of our vision or imagination. And I think that's something that kind of resonates with me as a pastor, because that's where, when we're trying to move forward, it's kind of the echoes, it's the past, it's what we used to do that tends to rule the day, as opposed to really where is the fresh vision from God right now.
What's the last song that you could not get out of your head?
The last song I couldn't get out of my head.
You have teenagers, you said, so what's the last song?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, because it's a bunch of them, man. But I remember, the one that I could not get out of my head that I wanted to, it's like the Paw Patrol song. Like, when my kids, like, oh my God, it's something about that song that's just so, I don't know, it's just involuntarily.
I feel you so
it
much.
just takes over your brain and you cannot get it out. And then you find yourself in a lone moment singing the Paw Patrol song. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah.
That's great. Let's not say bad food, but what's the most unusual food that you've ever tasted or tried?
Growing up, before our family joined the church, I remember my uncles killing and cooking a turtle, and it's
sorry,
like,
I'm not here to judge.
I saw a lot of judgment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, it's like eating a tire. Like rubber, it was all the rage that particular day, but turtle. And then, just kind of customarily, our family would eat chitlins, and even as a kid, I didn't get it. It's just, you know what chitlins are? No. Yeah.
But I'm going to look in Google.
Pig intestines, and it's just not really.
Okay. Sorry, again.
Yeah, so I'm sure that there's somebody that may love it, but it's just not my thing. Yeah.
What's the most beautiful place that you've ever had the opportunity to see? You say Holy Land, but I mean like the beautiful, beautiful place.
And the Holy Land was beautiful. Probably, there are some, I had a chance to go to Hawaii once, and there are some portions of Hawaii that, when you get away from kind of the touristy city portions and you kind of get off into the mountains, you kind of think to yourself, wow, the Garden of Eden had to be like this. Like there are portions where it hasn't been completely commercialized or, too much construction, where like the wildlife, the vegetation, the waterfalls, it is breathtaking scenery. And you kind of think, wow, could the Garden of Eden have been better than this? That's how impressive it was.
Well,
yeah.
Sadly, we are in the last question.
Last question. Oh man,
last
it's went by
question.
fast. Okay.
With your experience, what's the most valuable lesson that you've gathered so far that you want to leave the audience with?
Which kind of experience? As a parent, a pastor, as a leader?
Your life, the one that really the highlight, what you want the people to keep thinking or to dive a little deeper now that we are done. What's the last thing you want them to?
No, man, I think in the book of Philippians, Paul talks about how in all things he's learned how to be content, whether he abounds or abase, well-fed or hungry. I just think that if you can learn how to be content, to find joy in where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, that's more valuable than all the money, position, power, notoriety, affirmation of people, is to learn how to be content where you are, with who you're with, doing what you're doing.
That was great. Pastor, that I've seen you in 2017. I spoke with you a couple of times before, and this is the longest that we've ever talked.
Yeah.
But now I think that I know you.
Yeah, all right.
But I hope that happens to all the audience. Thank you so much for being with us. And you're one of the first that we've done this with.
All right.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Yes, sir. All right.
Beneath the Suit, Episode 2. Debleaire K. Snell. Executive producers Dana C. Edmond and William T. Cox. Director and host Gerson Pancorbo. Special thanks, Margaret Nichols and Yvonne Collins, Office for Regional Conference Ministries, Regional Conference Retirement Plan.